Victory milkshakes are flying around after the men's basketball team's big win.
Meanwhile, how are the lacrosse team holding up?
Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam! Dunk! Oh, that's a poster.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Serena Pace, joined by Dakota Barnes-Rush. Marquette Nation, the wait is over. The men's basketball season is getting a little sweeter after the Golden Eagles officially booked their spot to Dallas after squeaking past Colorado.
After the men ran away with the game in the second half against Western Kentucky, they met their match with Colorado in the round of 32.
And start off strong they did.
David Joplin gets the party started with a three-pointer on the Marquette's opening play, and a quick buckets by Cam Jones as Marquette solidified 4 minutes into the game.
Despite coming into this game being one of the best shooting teams in the nation, Colorado would not find the bottom of the basket.
Marquette takes advantage of the shooting woes from the Buffaloes to break the game wide open.
Cam Jones continues his March campaign with 16 first-half points, and a Chase Ross fast break dunk caps off a killer first half for the Golden Eagles.
After shooting 67% from the field in the first half, Marquette takes an 11-point lead into the break.
But it's March, and this wouldn't be March Madness without some drama.
Colorado storms out the second half with the Sweet 16 on their mind.
KJ Simpson and the Buffaloes hit some quick shots and climb all the way back to take the lead 5 minutes into the second half.
But Tyler Kolek and David Joplin tried to keep Marquette from falling into a slump, and a huge dunk from Joplin brings out all the kind of ESGB on the Marquette bench.
Ben Gold hits a three with 8 minutes left, and Marquette would never trail again. David Joplin hits 2 huge free throws to ice the game for Marquette and punch the Golden Eagles ticket into the Sweet 16.
It's the first time since 2013 that the men are dancing to the second weekend, and Shaka Smart was nothing short of emotional following the win.
It's gratitude. Gratitude for these guys, our fans, our guys hanging in there, continuing to fight, and now we get to keep playing.
Where's that emotion coming from?
Love, man. I love these guys. I don't want the season to end. That's the biggest thing, you know. So now we get several more days, get to go home, rest up, go down to
Executive Sports Editor Jack Albright and Executive Sports Producer Christine Parisi were down in Indianapolis covering the tournament.
Here's what they had to say following the win.
Just be ready. We're not done yet. We're not full. Like I said over there, we're not full. We're still hungry, and I'm super excited to be able to go to another 14.
Well, Marquette Nation, it finally happened. The Marquette men's basketball team is heading back to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2013, and it was not for the faint of heart. They just barely escaped Colorado after their second half comeback fell short. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Priest alongside Jack Albright and Jack. Tyler Kolek. Cam Jones had 4 fouls. Tyler Kolek came alive. Chase Ross came alive. Ben Gold applied the pressure on the 3 points when they needed it. What did you see out of this Marquette team, especially resilience in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 games without Tyler Kolek, and they show resilience multiple times. And now they're able to do it on the biggest stage in March with a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line. So I really look at, even with Cam Jones being in foul trouble and off the court, you look at Kolek, he stepped up. You look at Ben, he stepped up. You look at Chase, he stepped up. And it was really just everybody doing their jobs the way they needed them to and not letting the moment get to them. You look back to last year, Michigan State, it's a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go. It was tied with 3 minutes to go, and they didn't flounder like they did last year. So big improvements in that regard.
Yeah, for Marquette especially, you know, they didn't fold last year. It was heartbreak this year. It's celebrations. The celebrations at Milwaukee are probably already started. So for Marquette, who was that X factor today? You already mentioned Tyler Kolek. Was he the the reason Marquette got over the hump?
100%. I mean, I don't know how many more games this guy wants to flirt with a triple-double before actually getting one. I expect him to actually do it sometime this year, but he's got to be my MVP. He took over. He hit 2 critical late-game jumpers to put Marquette ahead. He was the facilitator that we all know he can be. He did everything Marquette needed him to, orchestrated the win.
So that's what you hear from Jack. He orchestrated the win. They'll face NC State in Dallas this weekend, but that is all we have here from Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for staying with us on MUWire Sports. For Jack Albright, I'm Kristen Parisi. Enjoy the win, Marquette.
The men's basketball team weren't the only ones dancing in Indiana this weekend.
The women's basketball team traveled to South Bend and got ready for battle against the Ole Miss Rebels in the first round of March Madness.
To Marquette's 2 with the help of senior forwards Tyler Singleton and Madison Scott.
It doesn't take too long until Marquette gets right back into the mix and steals the lead back from the Rebels with a Rosenkumu 3.
The momentum seems to be in Marquette's favor early on as the Golden Eagles go on to take control of the first quarter, leading over Ole Miss 16-14.
Marquette gets the first points of the second quarter with Eliza Carlin put back, but Ole Miss is quick to counter and goes on a 10-0 run to steal the lead back.
Jordan King gets into foul trouble halfway through the second quarter, leaving Marquette without one of their star players, and the Rebels capitalize, holding on to the lead.
At halftime, the Ole Miss Rebels lead over Marquette 36-33.
Still no Jordan King to start the second half, yet the third frame is a back and forth affair between the two teams where no teams pick up significant edge.
In fact, both teams score 13 points each in the quarter. So get your popcorn, folks, because we still have a 3-point game.
Madison Scott starts the action in the fourth quarter for the Rebels with a quick bucket, and Rebels don't look back.
Marquette gets cold in the fourth quarter, and any chance of a comeback is quickly shut down by stellar Ole Miss defense.
Eventually, the music stops and the dance is over.
Ole Miss sends Marquette back home, winning 67-55.
After an incredible season to remember, head coach Megan Duffy reflects on the year Eliza Carlin had for the Golden Eagles.
Liza, she was, double-double today, but I just am so proud of her through this entire year. She's been one of the most improved players in the country. Coming into this year, I kind of joked because she didn't really want to be labeled a go-to player, and then we couldn't help but call her a go-to player because of how much she improved and how much she wanted to put the team on her back. And, she just fits so well into our system, the way she can score inside and out.
Senior guard Rosenkumu believes the biggest factor in the loss was the team's lack of execution down the stretch. This season,
just trying to execute a little bit better. We had our reads, we had open looks, but I think at times we were a little rushed in our passes, and I think, that's what Ole Miss was really good at, was getting us to, be a little sped up in our offense, and just their athleticism and their length, made things that were open look not open, or, vice versa. And I think just kind of trying to stay composed, through any scoring drought that we have, of just trying to, continue to push through and execute.
This season, the women's basketball team finished with a record of 23 wins to 9 losses. They started the year winning their first 12 games, but then conference play crept up on them. In Big East play, the girls went 11-7, which ended up placing them third in Big East standings. They ended up with a bid into the postseason as a 10 seed, only to meet their match against Ole Miss in the first round. The team features 5 seniors, with 2 of them, guards Rosenkumu and Claire Kafis, already saying their goodbyes on Instagram. Coach Duffy certainly has an interesting offseason ahead of her.
Coming up, were the women's lacrosse team able to defeat the state of Michigan?
Plus, could the men's team break their losing skid?
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor. It's time we take a step forward, come together,
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back to GESR. I'm Dakota Barnes-Rush alongside Serena Pace. After defeating Eastern and Central Michigan in blowout victories, the women's lacrosse team looks to win the entire state versus Michigan. Michigan comes out the gates with pure intensity, scoring 4 straight goals, with Marquette having no answer.
Leigh Steiner would go on to score 2 goals before the end of the first quarter to keep hope alive for the Golden Eagles.
With the score 5-2 coming out the first quarter, the Golden Eagles began to kick it into overdrive.
Over the course of the second quarter, Marquette would go on a 7-1 run with 5 different goal scorers on the board.
At the end of the half, Marquette would lead Michigan 9-6, showing promise to make the upset. However, for the Golden Eagles, the second half would look like more of the first quarter.
Michigan would get stop after stop, halting all of Marquette's momentum, allowing them only 2 more goals for the remainder of the game. The Michigan Wolverines would claw their way to victory, defeating the Golden Eagles 18-11. Though the loss was tough, it didn't overshadow the spotlight for a certain player. Senior midfielder Leigh Steiner would earn back-to-back Big East Midfielder of the Week honors. Steiner would total 5 goals, 2 ground balls on 16 shots across 2 games, while also scoring at least once in every game this season. This would give her a ranking of top 5 in the conference with 26 goals and 36 points. Though she didn't make any Big East honors this week, we at GESR would like to highlight an honorable mention from the women's lacrosse team. Junior attacker Meg Byerly becomes the nation's leading scorer with 46 points on the season.
Coming off a 5-game losing skid, the men's lacrosse team desperately looked to get back into the win column against the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. First-year attacker Carson Brandt starts off the game strong for the Golden Eagles, taking matters into his own hands, scoring the first goal of the game only a minute into the contest. But Brandt wasn't done, putting the Golden Eagles on his back, scoring the game's second goal, putting Marquette up 2-0.
Riding the momentum, junior attacker Bobby O'Grady receives a pass and sidearms a missile into the net. The Bonnies weren't going down that easy, as first-year attacker Jake Kaczynski scores twice for the Bonnies in the second.
The Golden Eagles cling onto a 1-goal lead at the half, 3-2.
There was nothing close about the second half, however, as senior midfielder attacker Luc Blanc adds 2 more goals to the score sheet, and the Golden Eagles begin to run away with the game.
In the fourth quarter, senior attacker Devin Cohen scores Marquette's 7th and 8th goals of the game to extend the lead 8-2 in the favor of the Golden Eagles.
Marquette wins the game 8-3 and getting themselves back in the win column heading into conference play. The men's lacrosse team ended with a 4-5 out of conference record, and they'll start conference play at St. John's this Saturday.
Following the victory, graduate senior Mason Woodward found his way onto the Big East honor roll for the second time this season. The defenseman got an early assist and caused 4 turnovers against the Bonnies. Woodward is in season program history with 78 caused turnovers. This is the 10th Big East weekly honor of Woodward's career and the second this season.
And coming up in athletics, the men's basketball team are in Dallas, Texas, Friday, March 29th, taking on North Carolina State at 6:10 p.m. to make the Elite Eight.
In lacrosse, the men's team will start off their conference play on the road facing St. John's March 38th.
The women's team heads to Connecticut to face the Yukon Huskies on Saturday, March 30th at 11 a.m.
Don't go anywhere as we take a look at the biggest moves in NFL free agency.
Plus, should the Dodgers be concerned? Find out after the break.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to load their minds. Dare to explore. Dare to STEM. Learn more at She Can STEM.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world? You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
And welcome back to Studio 7 as we take a look at NFL free agents Shohei Ohtani and upsets in NCAA. Joining me on the panel tonight is Mikey Severson and Christine Parisi. Let's get started. And the NFL free agency has shaped up the landscape for the teams around the league with only a few free agents left on the market. Which team has the most successful free agency? Steve?
I'm going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they just signed Saquon Barkley, poaching a key divisional rival from the New York Giants. I mean, that is a key addition. I know they lost DeAndre Swift to the Bears, but Saquon Barkley, he just adds a different dynamic to that Eagles backfield. That he's a Penn State native. That's just going to allow the Eagles, after a very quite disappointing finish to last season, to try to get back on track to a Super Bowl.
I wouldn't say that they would. I really feel like the Eagles, they had a good free agency. You know, they got Bryce Huff, they got Saquon Barkley, but I really like what the Titans have done. I think getting a couple of good free agents for them as well. But I do also really like what the Jets have done, not saying just because I'm a Jets fan, but getting two linemen that you need. You get Morgan Moses back from the Ravens. You get Tyron Smith from the Cowboys. You get Mike Williams. You get a bunch of different players, the playmakers. But I really like, you know, if the Titans are really all in on Will Levis, then they're going to need to build, and what they did was build up. They have good free agents, but I think what we're really talking about, teams that I don't think had a good free agency, would be the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like Derrick Henry, he's kind of like on his last leg a little bit. I just feel like he hasn't been as good in these recent years. And I think the Ravens have let key free agents go. And I just don't think, you know, their defense was the heart and soul. And then they let Patrick Quinn walk. They let a bunch of other people walk. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can really do. But I don't really know if the Eagles had the best free agency, because it hasn't been, Saquon Barkley and Bryce Huff, but I think the Titans or the Jets, you really look at who they're building around. And then the Texans, you know, you're building around C.J. Stroud, you're building around a young player, so it's something like that, yeah.
In baseball, a recent scandal has been brought up surrounding LA Star pitcher Shohei Ohtani and how former interpreter Ippei Mazzaro is alleged to have stolen over $4.5 million from Ohtani to pay off sports gambling debts. The pitcher claims to have no involvement and no knowledge on the case. The MLB has started an investigation as sports gambling in California is illegal. Should Ohtani and the Dodgers be worried? Christine?
I think it's really interesting. You know, we always talk about sports betting. We've seen it in the NFL. We've seen how important it is in the NFL and like how there have been players that have been fined. So I feel like for him, if he says what it's true, if it was just his interpreter and he didn't have any knowledge of it, I feel like he should be fine. But the thing is that he said he vowed not to be involved in gambling. And, you know, they got a new interpreter. But I feel like if he's stealing money out of your account, I feel like you have to know at least some of it. Like, you have to know what's going on. I feel like in sports betting, you always try to play the victim. And I'm not saying that he's not playing like he's, like, not innocent. But I feel like he had to at least have known what is going on. You know, it's like things like this, especially when we talk about Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan thing. Like, it's all like the coaches. They don't know what's going on. You know, they're not really into it. But I feel like if it's actually true that he has no involvement, that's going to be interesting because then I feel like they shouldn't really be worried. But I think this sets a precedent. You know, sports betting in California is illegal, and I think we see it. You know, you're not supposed to be betting on different games, but I think if you take a look at the different games that Ohtani's played in, how has it been affected? You know, the interpreter is one thing, but I think they might really want to be worried if it is true that he had some kind of involvement or even knew about it, because I feel like you can fire someone, you could say you could put it all on them, but I feel like in the end of the day, I feel like he's not as innocent as people say he is.
I definitely understand that perspective, and I'd say that, yeah, using the interpreter as a fall guy is definitely a way to say that. Like, one guy really taking the blow for this, and I know Ohtani, he's really talented. I think he may be more involved than people think, and I think it'll be interesting to see what comes out with any other members of his staff if something arises with sports betting with another agent or something, another member of his camp. That's what I'm thinking is, you know, I can't wait to see more and see how far this will go.
With the Dodgers being the team beating the MLB and Ohtani being injured, does this change your outlook on this season?
I think it really doesn't. You know, he can't pitch right now. If he can bat, I don't really know, because they just got that really good pitcher as well. And I think the Dodgers have always been a team to beat, but they haven't really done anything in the postseason. But I think they're a really good team. I think if Ohtani's not 100%, that might be a little worrisome, because they spent so much money on him to pitch and to bat. And I feel like, you know, there are players that they could pitch and bat, but they've been other MLB teams that have loaded up, that are coming back. I mean, the Orioles are in their prime. The Yankees are doing some good moves as well. So I don't know if this really is going to be as worrisome as it might be, unless he's not 100% with his batting. I think that's the one thing for Ohtani, if that's all you can give. You give so much money to him. You have a different rotation, we'll see. But I don't know if it's really worrisome right now. But it might, you know, you never know with baseball. You mean, teams could have such stacked players, they could have such a stacked roster and not be able to amount to anything. And I think they shouldn't worry right now, but I feel like if it becomes a problem, you know, with him being injured and him being out, I think some baseball players are kind of injury prone. So it'll be interesting to see how they go forward with this. And, you know, it's always these kind of things. How can they go on? I feel how they can move on from these allegations, but then also just how he'll feel with his injury, not being able to pitch, really feel 100%. And we saw that the new pitcher, he did not have a very good outing. He had 4 hits, 5 earned runs, so it was not his best outing. So wondering if it's going to take a little bit for the Dodgers to get that chemistry. We've seen it's hard to get that chemistry on any new team, but it'll be interesting to see, because they have those expectations that it's a World Series or bust, and we know that. And the Dodgers, since that World Series that they won in the bubble, they really haven't been able to amount to the pressure. And I think being that team and being the team that everyone's going to want to be, it's going to be interesting to see if they'll fold under the pressure or if they'll be able to amount to something.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, KP, on this take. I mean, I think that the Dodgers with Ohtani giving basically the bag this offseason to Ohtani, they're really championship or bust mindset. And I think combined with that sports betting thing, this may not be him at his 100%. I mean, I think they just got to get the most out of Ohtani. They're going to go as far as he goes.
As the second round of March Madness comes to an end, America has witnessed many upsets, some more disappointing than others. Which upsets have been the most shocking for you guys?
Mikey?
First of all, I'm gonna take the obvious one here: Oakland over Kentucky. I mean, one of my brackets, I had Kentucky going to the national championship game, not winning it, but still, that's pretty bad. I mean, I wasn't expecting what's his name, to just rain down threes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot. I think Kentucky getting upset so early, and Coach Cal coming back. I mean, the report was just back that he talked to the ADs. He's coming back. And I think Kentucky, Coach Cal has been able to do a lot in these last couple of years. I mean, they've been bounced out by St. Peter's this year. They've been bounced out by Colorado, so it's very interesting. But I also love Oakland because I think that was just like a feel-good story. The senior off the bench coming over. He has over 30 points. He hits 10 threes. So I think it's just always fun to see those double-digit seeds really mount. And, you know, NC State being able to make a little bit of a run playing Marquette. Can they get another double-digit seed win? And I think March Madness is so much fun when we get to see these upsets. I really would have loved to see Texas A&M beat Houston. I mean, I watched it. My friend and I were in Indianapolis covering the Marquette game, but we were watching the Houston game and that buzzer beater to send it to overtime. It was crazy. I feel like these are the moments that we live for, and I think it's better when it's these close games, these upsets. I also picked St. Peter's to beat Tennessee, and then Tennessee smoked them. So my bracket's not doing very well, but I think the Kentucky upset is just reaffirming that they might be a good team on paper, but it just doesn't seem like they have what it takes to go very far.
Oakland upset Kentucky, ruining a lot of brackets this year. As they march the way into the second round for the first time in program history, does this loss mean the end of an era for Coach Calipari?
I don't think it necessarily means the end for him because I feel like Kentucky is a very good, decent team in the SEC, but they definitely are championship or bust next season. And if this happens again, his seat is going to be scorching hot. I think he's got to do better. I mean, losing to St. Peter's, as KP mentioned a couple years ago, and also losing to, obviously, this most recent loss to Oakland. I mean, there's got to be, there's got to be a turning point, something able to recruit. But historically, Kentucky's been, throughout my childhood, really a blue blood program, and they just got to get back to that. And keeping the coaching staff is going to be an essential part to it. But I think if there's a big fall off, he's definitely got to go.
I think because we already heard that he's not leaving yet, and I think it's always talking about, different coaches taking different jobs. I know people were whispers Shaka Smart might leave to go to Kentucky, but I feel like we can say he's a great coach. We can say all this stuff, but really in the last couple of years, what has Kentucky done in the postseason? I mean, the regular season, there are good teams in the regular season, but what have they done in the postseason? That was the biggest thing with Marquette. They were a good team in the regular season. What can they do in the postseason? I think that's why Wojo ended up leaving because he didn't win in March. Shaka Smart, as good of a coach as he is, if they continued to not win in March, it would have been the end of, people probably would have started to call for the end of the Shaka Smart era. And I think Coach Cal, he's done a great job. He's a great coach, but it's just when it matters most, his teams haven't done well. And I think that's really important for us to remind ourselves that it's all for a championship. And I think Kentucky's been such a highly touted team. They've lost to so many double-digit seats. I mean, out of nowhere, these little small schools that no one's ever heard of comes out and beats them. And it's like one thing to get it maybe like one time. But I feel like we're always talking about Kentucky getting out early and not being able to do anything. And I think what Purdue has done is they were able to bounce back after losing to the 16 seed last year. And I think Kentucky hasn't had that same progress, and it's kind of, at this point, you get the players, they're always getting highly ranked players, but they're not doing well, and at the end of the day, falls in the hands of the coach.
Thanks for the great discussion. We're out of time, but be sure to tune in next week for all the coverage, Marquette sports, and more. Good night, Marquette.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born, and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.